my friends. This is Mike Holt, and I'm glad to have you with me today as I show you the encounters that I've had with the bears, mostly in Yellowstone. But back in the 1980s and 1990s, we had to go to Alaska to get any good pictures of bears because there just weren't that many in Yellowstone at the time. Here we see a very ambitious young black bear trying to raid a bird's nest, and he came out quite empty, but got to give him credit for trying here. Also, next up, I show you some pictures of my encounters in Alaska. This was a very big bear. Alaska was very bushy, and you can't always see what's in front of you in the trails there, so you have to be very careful. But there is a spectacular waterfall called Brooks Camp, and that was a great place to be. Back to Yellowstone, flash forward a few years here. We're in Yellowstone. We didn't see very much that day, and all I had to photograph and take videos of were the buffalo, which were standing around Sotheby Creek there. But something didn't look quite right. And if you look at it closely enough, maybe you give it up for the day. But actually, you can see him now taking to the water. He swims around a bit, thinks about it, looks at the other bank, and what he does is come back. You will see him in a few seconds here, come back to the bank after he scouts around and smells. That tremendous sense of smell they have tells them everything about their environment. How many people, how many wolves, how many bears, whether there's danger, whether there's prey. They use the nose more than they can use their other senses because their eyes are really not that good. So he got out of the water, walked around a bit, shook himself off, and proceeded to contemplate his situation and whether he should stay or not. But he finally decided to give it up, and he goes back to the water, swims across where, in a place much to his liking, and because he wanted to go to a mountainside where he spent the nights. And you see him going up to where his bedding area will be that night. But just to let you know, I was there the next morning, and there had been a kill made, and we didn't know if it was the bear or maybe the wolves. Now let's fast forward a few years here, back to actually Sotheby Creek again, very much the same area. It was snowing like crazy that day, but I knew something was going on. And all of a sudden, a bear popped up on the hillside right next to where I was parked and where I was scouting around at the time. The bear crossed the road. He started wandering around on the other side. He smelled a lot, and right here, I knew what he was after. He was after a carcass that the Lamar pack had brought down. At first, he was going the complete wrong way, as you saw in the video before. But now he's got the scent with his nose. You can see him put his head up every now and then to try and get his bearings. So he keeps getting closer and closer, but he really doesn't know where the carcass is. And you will see the Lamars. You will see 926, alpha female of the Lamars, in just a few minutes here. Now he's got a bearing. I don't know whether he smells the wolves or whether he smells the carcass. But now he's charging. I think he realizes there's only one wolf. And there goes 926 running away from him. Now, 926 knew where the carcass was. And I felt that it was absolutely incredible that she was really trying to lead this bear away from where she knew the carcass was. The bear kept smelling. He looked at the wolf every now and then, as you'll see here, gives her a stare there. And he keeps looking for the carcass because he knows it's out there somewhere. 926 looks in disgust. She tries to lead him away, but he's not falling for it. And so he keeps searching for that carcass. Now, At the time, the alpha male was 949, and there was another male called Dot, who is now the alpha male. 949 has died, and so has 926. Unfortunately, sadly, now the bear here has the carcass. There was only 926 to defend the carcass, and she was no match for that big grizzly bear. Her daughter, little T, is with her now, and they're just taking a nap right here, waiting to see if the bear is going to leave, and they're probably wondering where the two males are. At one point, little T actually got up and howled, because I know that she was wanting Dot and 949 to come and defend that carcass against that bear. And just to let you know, just a side note here, later that afternoon, some of my photographer friends told me that they did actually come back and they ran the bear off the carcass. But the next day I went back there and it was a blinding snowstorm. I couldn't even hardly get any pictures, and I found that the bear was again eating on this carcass. And that's just the way of the wild. Those are the rules. Sometimes the wolves can outnumber the bear and they can run the bear off the carcass, and sometimes the bear, like here, was able to take the carcass away from just a few wolves, which is no problem for this big boy. Now, he is walking around checking his surroundings. I have a feeling that he knows that the males are coming. I think that he can definitely smell all the different wolves. He can tell how many there are. He may even be able to tell how big they are. But he was walking around scouting the area, and it was a fascinating encounter. My friends, I'm very glad to see that you're here, and I appreciate you being here. This is Mike Holt.